Hi! Welcome to this part of my review featuring Konosuba, God's Blessing on This Wonderful World, TRPG. If you haven't seen the other parts of my review featuring this role-playing game based on the popular isekai'd series, please check out the playlist in the description below. This time we are going to talk about attacks. Any action that affects an enemy, first and foremost dealing damage to them, is called an attack. There are three different methods of attacking. We have weapon attacks. Whenever you attack another character with a weapon, such as a sword, spear, or bow, it's called a weapon attack, logically. And these weapon attacks are divided in different categories. We have close combat attacks. These are attacks performed using weapons with the range of close, such as swords or your bare hands. In order to perform a close combat attack, you must be in the same engagement as the target you want to strike. Then we have ranged attacks. Any attacks performed using weapons with a range of a number of meters are called ranged attacks. The range of the attack differs based on the weapon, and you cannot perform a ranged attack against a character you are currently engaged with. Then we have projectiles. Certain weapons meant for close combat attacks may state that they are throwable. In these cases, you can perform a ranged attack with them. The range for such attacks is the throwing character's strength plus 5 in meters. The weapon used for the throw is treated as a disposable item and is generally lost afterwards, but after the combat ends, you can retrieve it by passing a luck check of difficulty level 12. Then we have magic attacks. Whenever you use a skill classified as a spell to attack a character, it's called a magic attack. You also have special attacks. Any attacks that don't fall into the weapon or magic category are called special attacks, such as breath attacks that certain enemies can use. Now let's talk about the attack process. Attacks are resolved as opposition checks and follow a series of 5 steps, which include attack declaration, hit check, dodge check, hit resolution, and rolling for damage. When it comes to declaring an attack, in this step, the attacking player decides on a target and declares that they'll be attacking. The one performing the attack, which is the attacker, must choose an appropriate character to attack, which would be the defender. Then the attacker states how they will attack, any skills they'll use, and what weapon they'll strike with. An attacker can only attack with the weapon they have currently equipped. The game master must confirm that the declared attack is possible to carry out. When it comes to performing a hit check, in this step, you perform a check to see whether or not the attacker's attack hits the defender. You use different ability scores for this based on your type of attack. For weapon attacks, you use dexterity. For magic attacks, you use intelligence. For special attacks, it depends on each skill's individual entry. If the hit check is critical, the attack automatically succeeds. A critical may also modify the damage done. However, if the defender also gets a critical, the reaction has priority, and the defender wins. In other words, the attack will miss in this case. If the attacker fumbles, however, the attack automatically fails, and the next step, the dodge check, doesn't happen. If you do carry out a dodge check, once the attacker has made their hit check, the defender now makes their own check to see if they can avoid it. For this check, you use agility. If the dodge check is a critical, the defender wins, and the attack will miss, dealing no damage. However, if the defender fumbles, the attack automatically succeeds. When it comes to hit determination, in this step, you compare the total score of the checks to one another to determine if the attack hits. Use the same rules as in opposition checks. If the attacker wins, move to the damage roll step. The damage roll step happens if the attack lands. You determine how much damage the attacker deals to the enemy or enemies. There are 3 types of damage, which are physical damage, magic damage, and piercing damage. Rolling the dice to determine how much damage you deal is called a damage roll. If the attacker gets a critical on their hit check, they add an extra number of dice equal to the number of dice that came up as 6 for the hit check to their damage roll. For example, if an attacker rolled 3 6s on their hit check, they would add 3 additional dice to their damage roll. And this concludes this part of the review. In the next part, we are going to talk about the different types of damage and death. Combat in this game truly can get quite over the top. Just look at that critical damage. For each critical result, you add an extra die of damage. Now, when it comes to attacking and dodging, defense has a bit of an advantage, because if you tie with the attacking character, you're going to get the win as someone who reacts to the attack. But I think this is well balanced with the rest of the game, with the other rules, considering the cheats, the incredibly powerful weapons, the critical results. I think this defensive advantage is appropriate, since sometimes the attacker can get quite lucky, perhaps getting some critical results. I think giving that small advantage to dodging is the least that they could do. Thank you for watching this part of the review. If you have any comments or questions, please let me know. And thank you so much to those of you that have been supporting the channel by sending right through RPG gift certificates. If anyone else wants to further support the channel, the information on how to do that will be in the description below. Once again, thank you, and see you later.